Casual Friday
Yeah,
Rocky.
actually, we some Rocky during the show.
Oh my goodness. What is up, everybody? Merry Jokmas. Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness. December 15th, the holy day. A holiday that's picking up more and more steam. Many people are talking about this holiday. Many people are. It is Jokmas. We're going to look back a little bit on Jokmas and talk about it. We're going to do some hangover takes. And I'm excited for this one. We're going to compare. I pulled numbers, you guys. Julian Strawther, first 25 games. Peyton Watson, first 25 games after his other first 25 games that we don't count. And then Christian Braun's first 25 games. Let's just compare and contrast. Cool. I think that'll be fun. And then we got some great mailbag questions, including asking us a fun one. Who is untradeable, untouchable in a trade? Very tough question to answer. To help me answer it, though, I got Brendan vote.
Man, I'm so happy to be here on this beautiful Jokmas. And it actually is a beautiful day. Not even just saying that. The vibes are up.
Dude, you have some great clothes, man. This stuff looks so warm and cozy.
Yeah, dude, I love jackets and stuff.
Me too, man, when it's all cold out. You know what I mean? Over there, Harrison Wind.
I was thinking about this. I think the NBA actually respects Jokmas more for not giving the Nuggets a game on it.
I agree.
Because then it gives us a whole normal show to talk about it.
While true, they also disrespect us by not doing it because it'd be fun to celebrate Jokmas on Jokmas with a nice game. Plus, I just keep wondering, like, what will Jok do the next time he plays on Jokmas? 50 points? Jok, I mean, like, he clearly knows of it, right? Here's the thing. Everybody knows about everything.
Yeah,
you know,
he definitely knows.
It took me longer. Honestly, we're dumber than we think. That took me like 5 years to learn this. But these guys all know everything that's going on. So now, like when you had Michael Messer on the other day, he knew about the Mike meme. Right. He knew about a bunch of like deep cut.
He knows that we love Drew Hanlon.
Yeah, that was a little awkward actually.
Like, whoops, forgot about that part.
So Jokmas is clearly, a thing. Like, I wonder if Jok's doing anything for Jokmas. Ooh, another one.
Do you think he shows up in a Santa outfit in the locker room today?
That would be incredible. Can you imagine?
Or is it Michael Malone who shows up in the Santa outfit?
Yeah, but this is actually more likely. Jok probably hates Jokmas.
Yeah,
he's actually the Grinch of Jokmas.
He sees Katie's sweater, just rolls his eyes.
Yeah, like, oh my God. I don't know. There's a chance he has a Jokmas sweater, though. I got to say, here's the thing about it. If you're super famous, you can have anything you want. But somebody making a themed sweater, Christmas sweater of you, like, can you imagine if there was a Brendan Vogt Christmas sweater out there somewhere?
Yeah, but only because I'm a narcissist. I do your larger point stands for sure.
But you would totally be into it. You'd be like, this is actually incredible.
I'd
like
love
a
that,
Harrison wind chimes shirt that like people were just wearing. You'd be
I
like,
would wear a
hell
wind chimes
Yeah,
shirt.
that'd be sick actually. Can we make that?
Can we get that going? So we'll get into all this stuff. It should be fun. But let's start with hangover takes as we always do. Vote, we didn't get, your extended thoughts on the game. I don't know if you had a chance to rewatch or this or that, but I feel like this was a Harrison Wind game. Because Project Dynasty, as you wrote about today, that game was all about Project Dynasty.
Yeah. Oh, me. You said Brendan Vogt.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I was like, wait, wasn't he on the show?
I was running through it. I was panicked. I couldn't remember. I was like,
did you not be
My
on
bad.
You're not on the show.
My bad. Harrison Wind. You've coined Project Dynasty.
No, it was a Project Dynasty night. And, I mean, right now, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther are like the backbone of the second unit. And, of course, like that unit is led by Reggie Jackson, but the real substance of it and like the foundation of it feels like it's around P. Watt, Christian Braun, and Julian Strawther. And those three are real dudes now. Like, those are real players all playing real roles for this team. And funny enough, man, Jamal Murray gets back. The bench looks good again. Funny how that happens. And those three are just playing such integral roles on this team right now. And it feels like it's just only going to go up and continue from here.
For me, when watching live with you, I kept remarking I didn't think it was a great Nuggets performance so much as the Nets were really bad. But upon rewatching and watching clips, I like the Nuggets were awesome. It's a ridiculous take.
It's a spoiled one, man.
It's a spoiled
take, but I understand it because I've had it too. But it's one of those ones where it's like they dominated.
Yeah. Then you look back at like every stat, quarter to quarter, the defense. You're like, oh no, this is actually awesome.
Yeah. Mike and
missed some
Holiday
shots.
missed some shots.
So
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, the Nuggets were bad. No,
So we all have our thing.
They were so good though, and Jokic was great defensively, and Jamal were great defensively, and that was really that part to me was awesome. I felt like they were pissed that they lost that Houston game, and you mentioned that after the game.
Yeah,
and I wanted them to play that way, like take it personally that they lost at home, and in hindsight, I think they definitely did.
I think it's a little under the radar just how much those guys are playing. And I know we've talked about it and appreciated it, but, when I was comparing minutes last year to this, Christian Braun's last year to these guys this year, it's like, no, man, they're playing a ton of minutes. They're playing consistently. They're getting a long leash. And this is like one of the big things about it. And I'm telling you, it's just the confidence with which Julian and Peyton in particular are playing with. Christian Braun's already been through all this.
Yeah.
But those other two guys, they just look like they're over the hump of shock. The initial, like, oh my God, it's the NBA, like all this stuff. They're just so fully over it. I know there's more humps and false summits and everything else. But that more than anything to me is like, if you didn't know those guys were rookies, and I'm just going to keep calling Peyton. Is it fair that I keep calling Peyton Watson a rookie? Last year doesn't really count.
I mean, Malone, I think, agrees with you. I think he's even said that he looks at him as a
redshirt rookie.
Yeah.
Do we need to go that far?
redshirt rookie.
He's a redshirt rookie.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually a good category.
During the COVID years in college, you could have your freshman year. You get injured 2 games in or something. They're like, yeah, those don't count. We'll throw them out. That's kind of how I feel about Peyton. So,
but more so than even Christian Braun and Julian last night, that was a Peyton game. Peyton was the big story for me last night, and it feels like he's really learning how to play the 4 in particular.
Oh, I love this note. Thank you.
Power forward. He had a duck in last night, taking a play out of Aaron Gordon's playbook,
right,
where he ducked in from the dunker spot, perfectly timed it right when Jokic was getting double teamed, and he found him under the hoop, just like he always finds Aaron Gordon there. He got on the glass, 2 offensive rebounds, got the rebound, pushed in transition a couple times, just doing things that Aaron Gordon does. And if you think about what's going to happen in the playoffs, the Nuggets are going to need Peyton Watson to play the Jeff Green role, the backup 4.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, maybe.
And he last night, I think for the first time, showed me some real definite signs of really getting better at some of those skills that he's going to need to potentially play that role.
So the play you're talking about is actually a very interesting one. Because it wasn't that he ducked in, just that he ducked in. When you're playing that dunker, there's almost a couple things. One is which side of the court are you on? And he talked about this after the game, reading like, how do I space? Oh, he's driving this way. I got to cut to the other way. But another thing you do often, and I've talked about this in the past, you set that flare screen for the corner. So sometimes you're just in the straight dunker, and sometimes it's like, all right, the low man is getting ready to help, and you're going to pin him so that Jokic has a skip pass to the corner. But that's like, all right, that's the blueprint. That's the idea. But how do you execute it? You sometimes have to read, I need to set it, or I need to pretend to set it and slip out, because the moment the guy thinks he has to fight with me over, he's running this way as I sneak right behind him. And that's the one he did. He was in position to set a flare. I don't remember who it was that was in the corner, but he read the court perfectly, that he slips, lets the guy run out, and now he's open in the dunker and yams at home. It looks simple when you see it done correctly, but knowing when to do which is a feel thing, and it just takes a lot of reps, and that's why I was so encouraged with that specific one.
Yeah. And then if you further think about the playoffs and the role Peyton Watson might have, he's going to have to be a threat to shoot it, specifically from the corner like Jeff Green did in the playoffs last year. And Jeff Green hit a number of big shots for the Nuggets in the playoffs from that corner spot. Yeah. And, I mean, Peyton has the whole rest of the regular season to get better as a shooter. Like, that should be a real goal of his. Like, I need to be able to knock down a catch-and-shoot, standstill 3.
From the corner.
From the corner, when I'm left absolutely wide open. When the defense is daring me to shoot it, I've got to be able to take that shot and hit it.
I agree with
that. And he's got to be able to do that by the playoffs.
Because the other thing, you have the screens, you got the running, the baseline. The other thing is sometimes you have to flare to the corner yourself, and that's what you're talking about. This is why I don't know that he needs it above the break 3. He's a ball handler. I just don't think he'll find himself there very often, enough for him to like spend his time on it, too much time on it, and so I'm with you. I like all of this. Any other thoughts on Strawther? Or I'm sorry, I'm Peyton.
5 assists, right? He finished with last night. To me, that is a number I didn't think we'd see this year from him.
Right.
Just But the coolest thing about those minutes last night is that there was such a green light for those guys to go exploring, to pick their heads up, to try to make a play, as opposed to just, all right, here's how I do my thing next to Jokic and Jamal, and don't mess this up. And it was really cool to get to see them. I think Malone's best coaching job so far this year, the part of it that he's done the best, is rationing out these high leverage minutes to these guys that aren't necessarily penciled in to get them. And you can just see the confidence growing. And I just think it's gone a long way that he's giving them different kinds of minutes here and there. And I think you're seeing these guys' confidence really turn a corner.
Let's start on some numbers here. First of all, I have a cool stat for you before we get into some of these numbers. Really cool stat that was sent that I actually was alerted to. Per second spectrum, Julian Strawther currently ranks number 1 in the NBA in efficiency on direct scoring off of handoffs. Off of handoffs. Of the players that rank in the top 50, I think, for most, or maybe it was top 100. I can check my message here in a second. But of 101 players that have done at least 50 handoffs. Let me give you the list. Number 2, Zion Williamson, 1.37. Number 3, Jalen Williams. Tobias Harris is high on here. OG Anunoby, Steph Curry, Austin Reeves, Quentin Grimes, Corey Kispert, and Devin Booker. A few surprising names on those lists, but that's 2 through 10. Number 1, Julian Strawther.
That's crazy.
And then I go back and watch because I get this stat, and I'm like, all right, well, let me watch every handoff. I have access to tools that allow me to watch every single one. There's something to this, man, because Julian Strawther does not have a good first step. He doesn't have a good, you get the ball, boom, he beats you off the dribble. But if you get him moving, he has very good footwork and a skill set that, his shot you can't go under, so you're going to have to always chase. He's very great footwork, throws the ball out inside hand to create space, makes you cover. He's got the floater, and he just seems to know when it's his time to shoot and when it's his time not to. So the fact that this deep into the season, he ranks number 1 in efficiency on direct scoring off of handoffs, what skill is more valuable for a role player than being able to handle handoffs, playing alongside Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, that's a good point.
To me, that is an incredible stat.
That is incredible, man. He's such a Jokic ball player.
Yep.
He's such a Jokic ball player, man. And another thing, that you've got to have when you're operating in dribble handoffs is you just got to be smart. You got to have a feel for the game. You got to sense the defense, feel how a defender's guarding you, play the angles, know when to go the hoop, know when to go the floater, know when you can step back for your 3. And Julian Strawther is such a smart player. He just always knows what he wants to do every time he gets the ball. And yeah, you see that on the DHOs.
I said this on the show last night, but there was a play where he was telling Reggie what the read was.
Yes.
And it's like he's a rookie, and Reggie's a point guard, has been in the league for however many years. And it's not that Reggie was being bad or anything like that, but it just shows you that he is a guy that is also seeing the court. Your point guard is the one orchestrating, but when your other guys are also there to be able to know what's going on, it's so huge. And I'm just so high on Julian Strawther because I think he's such a smart dude, such a smart player. All right, let's take a quick break. I know it's a little bit early, but we'll take a quick break on the other side. First 25 games, both per minute and per 36 minutes. So per game and per 36 minutes. Let's compare these guys.
Guys, check out Circa Sportsbook. Circa Sportsbook, you can download the app at circasports.com. It's available in Colorado. And of course, Circa Sportsbook brought to you by Circa Resort and Casino, where we stay in Vegas. You can use code DNVR20 to get 20% off your stay if you're going out there for any kind of trip. See a sporting event, hang with the fellas, bachelorette party, bachelor party, whatever it might be. Stay at Circa.
Dude, Circa during a major sports event, that would actually be a phenomenal bachelor party destination.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Because you have the pool, you have the sports book, all the TVs and stuff, and then obviously Vegas. That is 24 hours of great stuff with the fellas.
Yeah, 20% off with the code DNVR. And also make sure to download the app, circasports.com, the Circa Sportsbook. It's available in Colorado. You can go to circasports.com to download it. Circa Sports Bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 plus or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
If you're headed to Vegas or you're just looking to channel your inner Will Barton, you need some good sunglasses. Introducing Shady Rays. Not really an introduction. Friends of the shows already know that with Shady Rays, you can shop with no risk. If you don't like them, exchange for a new pair, return them for free within 30 days. No risk when you shop with Shady Rays, which is how it should be with sunglasses. They should be affordable, and shopping should be risk-free. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com, use code DNVR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
All right, there you go. Welcome back. Segment 2 now. Let's get into this. So the first 25 games of Christian Braun's career last year, he averaged 14.1 minutes per game.
And I was really pissed at the
You were
time.
pissed because it was happening a little slow.
I was furious.
This year, Peyton Watson is averaging 16.4 minutes per game. 2 minutes more. Up 2 minutes. Julian Strawther is averaging 13.7 minutes per game, which is about in line with Christian Braun, which is, to me, again, extremely encouraging because last year there was only one rookie to work in. This year there's 2, and they're both playing basically the exact same minutes as Christian Braun. I feel like that's a great sign early on.
If anybody ever says that Michael Malone does not play rookies again, I'm instantly blocking you on whatever social media platform you're on.
You're out.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
It's just not true. He's killed the narrative this year, effectively once and for all. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Like, you're casual if you still have that take.
And then I think...
I love when Harrison speaks in the internet.
I know. And then I think Calvin did a really good job of not giving him a ton of other options. With much respect to Justin Holiday and DeAndre Jordan, he was like, look, man, we're working with young guys here. And Malone got with it. And I really think he's got a sneaky good coach of the year case if they level out here like we think they will.
Yeah.
And finish as a 1 seed.
He never gets the buzz. It's the wildest thing.
Never does. And given that Jamal missed this time and now they're basically playing rookies and he's doing the 2 timeline thing, but it looks like it's going well, you could make the argument. But again, I'm not expecting it. I bet Nick Nurse will get a lot of love, and probably rightfully so. Philly's playing different ball.
Yeah.
But Malone, I think, should be in the conversation, and I think the crux of it is how he's dealt with the rookies so far.
Yeah.
Maybe Calvin's one mistake was having too good of a veteran backup center.
Too good?
Is DeAndre Jordan too good so that Zeke Nnaji isn't playing?
That might have more to do with Zeke than DeAndre.
That might have more to do.
I'm
listen
kidding,
to this,
of course.
though. Christian Braun, 3.4 points per game. Peyton Watson, 5.3 points per game. Julian Strawther, 6.1. So if you ranked them, it would be Julian, 6.1, the Peyton, 5.3. Way down there at 3.4 is Christian. So these guys, not only are they playing the same minutes, they're scoring. I'm like, I know when we get to 3, 5, and 6, it's not big numbers, but meaningfully more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Christian talked about this last night. This was really interesting, I thought, and I included it in my article today. Last year, his only focus was defense.
Yeah.
It was his sole he didn't even think about offense. And he actually feels like his defense has slipped a little this year because his new role requires him to be just a little more focused on offense, and he's kind of upset at himself about it. But it feels like the bench this year, there's a little more freedom for a P-Watt, for a Julian Strawther than there might have been for a Christian Braun last year. That's at least what it feels like to me. Like you had Jeff Green on that, lineup last year. You had Vlatko getting some time. It just feels like there's a little more room for like P-Watt and Julian Strawther to explore their games.
They're also offensive play, like Julian in particular.
Yeah.
What's he out there to do? Score. So his focus is almost in a different spot. And then to me, the encouraging one is Peyton. The fact that he's scoring like almost twice as many points a game, and his focus should be the same as Christian's.
Well, Peyton's he's so athletic, and he's like such a game changer that he can just stumble into dunks and transition stuff like that. But you can say the same about Christian.
I was going to say, who's more athletic, actually?
It's a good question.
But I do think, to Wynn's point, a lot of Christian's early minutes were about not getting himself benched last year. And I think Malone, while he will do it, with Julian and Justin, I think he's generally more committed to a longer runway for those guys. So I think that point is valid.
All right, let's get into the next one. You get for Christian 2.1 rebounds, Peyton 2.2 rebounds, Julian Strawther 1.5. These numbers, none of them are major rebounders, but it is encouraging that all three of them kind of similar. I think they're all good rebounders, and this is it's not that any one of them is great and it stands out. It's the fact that all three of them can.
Yep.
And that's what you're building. You're building this lineup where you don't have any holes rebounding the ball, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you just think about the frames on all these guys,
yeah,
they all have plus size for their position. And so just naturally, they got the length, they got the size.
I hope Julian, he did it last night, and I hope he continues to focus on being a longer guard that rebounds well.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it every time. He's a rookie. I don't
Yeah.
expect him to, but sometimes he does. And I think, every shooter, and that's what Julian is first and foremost, has this, runs this risk of fading into the background of a game when they don't shoot well. But Julian has more to offer. And it can even just be a page out of Christian Braun's book of if nothing else, go grab 2 or 3 rebounds no one was expecting you to get.
Right.
And that's one of my favorite things that Christian does, actually.
For Christian, 0.6 assists per game in his first 25 games. For Peyton, 1.0. For Strawther, 1.1. So again, about double, a meaningful amount more, which again, I just think both of those guys have that in them, and they project to be that. If we go to steals, this one's crazy. Christian Braun, 0.3 steals per game. I know he's not a big steals guy. Peyton, 0.5. Strawther, 0.5. Both of them averaging more steals through 25 games than Christian Braun. That's kind of a good size. And then blocks. Christian doesn't get a ton of blocks. 0.1 blocks in his first 25 games.
Peyton wakes up with blocks, dude.
1 a game. Strawther, 0.2. So also
if
way down
P-Watt doesn't get a block, it's like what happened?
Yeah, I knock him down in the grades.
If I look down and it's just there's not at least one block on his box score, I'm like, come on, man.
And then let's get to the percentages. For Christian Braun, 44.6% from the field. Peyton Watson, 48.5%. Shooting better from the field this year than Christian Braun was to start his career. And then 38.6% for Julian. It's a little bit lower, but we got to get into the advanced numbers for him. From the three-point line, 34.8 for Christian Braun earlier. Man, missed those days. Although, no, he's up above that now, right? He's 39% or 38%. Peyton Watson is at 22.2. His three-point. Last night was the first time he'd made one since Game 3.
And he made 2. The second one, I do have to say, there's shooter touches, and then there's that one hit back rim and went in so hard. But honestly, Wynn's right, though, that while Jeff Green didn't necessarily instill fear or spacing, he did hit a handful of you left me wide open shots.
Big ones.
And so Peyton, in games like last night where he has a green light, I do think has to take some of those shots because he has to feel like he can take and make, 1 or 2 in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Here's the thing on the scoring, comparing Peyton to Christian specifically. Christian, I think, is going to be he's a great, well-rounded basketball player, but I think he's going to be more in the specialist type of category throughout his career. Role player specialist, defender, scrappy, hustler player. And he can get to being a starter level guy, but he's always going to kind of be in that role player category, in my opinion. Peyton Watson has the natural skill and the natural feel of a player who has a ceiling above that.
I agree.
Right.
He has the feel of, a more talented offensive player, and he can develop into that. He can develop into being a go-to guy potentially. He has that ceiling in him, and you see that come out in just some of the natural stuff that he does within the flow of a game. And I just feel like his built-in feel helps him get some of those just natural buckets that Christian Braun doesn't.
What do you think his body's going to look like eventually? Because we said last night that he kind of reminds us of Giannis in terms of how he runs, like his long strides and his kind of skinny waist. So how it's like,
Sure.
this, that.
Especially young Giannis,
And,
right?
and if you watch young Giannis, I would have never guessed he became what he became, right? Physically, he's really gone there. I don't think that he's going to have a Giannis-like transformation of his body, but there are guys that you look at and say, yeah, there's not a frame on there to add weight, and yeah, that guy could get ripped. I don't know where he falls on that scale.
I don't either.
I also don't know
either.
if he's a guy that should get too jacked. Like there's a.
I mean, if he could turn into Giannis, that'd be fine.
yes.
Like that'd probably be a good route to go.
But I think Giannis's most astounding
Yeah.
thing about his body is that he's so lean and flexible for being as
Yeah.
jacked as he is. A lot of guys, when you bulk up. Peyton has this really fascinating, wiry kind of build that allows him to do these really unique and fun things when attacking the rim. And I almost do, like, it's almost, LeBron James always talked about how he didn't want to lift weights at first because he didn't want to lose any of that.
Right.
And it was all like push-ups and stuff like that. I don't think he's going to get too jacked, but obviously naturally he'll fill out a little bit. He'll get a little stronger. It's just inevitable. But I'm with you that I don't know if I would expect a massive transformation.
I'm trying to think if there's a comp
I'm going through a list right now
of just like skinny guys that like have like really filled out to be. Can he be like Jimmy Butler's body?
Why not? Jimmy Butler's not that huge.
I know, but he's ripped, and like Jimmy Butler does not get pushed around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Peyton right now, he's so long that even when guys push him around, he still like, can like contest it and stuff. But I do wonder here's what makes me think of it. One, playing the dunker, you can use like a little bit more weight.
Yep.
And then two, you just said he could be a Jeff Green replacement. Jeff Green's strong enough to guard LeBron. I mean, not well, but in spot minutes. And I don't think Peyton's anywhere close to that. Like you put him on Luka or something like that. Is he going to have an impact? I'm not so sure. We'll have to see, but those guys are just so strong.
Yeah.
Sure.
Getting stronger is going to be huge for him to fill that role. Absolutely.
Some of that will happen naturally for sure, whether his body looks different or not. He's just young, and he's with a professional team now.
If you had to only pick one of those guys, who would you pick? Like, who is the guy that for you?
You're making me choose between my children.
It really, you know what? Actually, let me go this route.
I refuse to answer.
Actually, let's time out. Let's time
Refuse
out.
the question.
We've been doing this for a while now, and we have had Bones Highland, who we loved, start projecting the future with Bones Highland. Obviously, he gets traded. We even had RJ Hampton for a while there, where you were like, I mean, he was never at this level, but he was like, all right, is he going to be on the team? Guys get traded. Young guys get traded, and they don't stick with you for long. But Project Dynasty sort of suggests that Denver's not wanting to trade any of these guys. And they all fit a clear path, even more so than a Bones or, of the traditional Malik Beasleys or whatever. These guys all project to be like, no, they were designed because of their very specific set of skills, and Denver wants to mold those into what they need. But is there one that you're like, yeah, but this is the guy Denver can't lose? Anybody can go. This
I think Peyton Watson and Christian Braun are in a tier above Julian Strawther if I had to answer that.
Why?
The defense.
Yeah. Because Denver already has their offense.
Yeah. I'm not answering the question, but
Just to be clear.
if I had to lose one,
Yeah.
to rephrase it, if I had to lose one
Yeah.
at this moment, it'd probably be Strawther.
Would you be surprised if Strawther grew into the most impactful of the three?
No, just because he's already so far ahead offensively. Whereas, like, he can become a starting level offensive player very soon. It's just for this specific team, I would take the defense every time.
Yeah, part of it is, even as things stand right now, Strawther would be the odd man out in terms of need and rotation and the way everything fits together. So there's a little bit more of they need what Christian and Peyton provide. As it's almost not necessarily a commentary on Strawther's value or talent. But no, to answer your question, I wouldn't be surprised because he is a sneaky good defender. He is a smart player. He doesn't seem particularly afraid to me as a young player. And we know that he can put 20-point games at least together. So Strawther's got it, but I'm with Wind in terms of, like, I think for Denver, Christian and P-Watt seem more essential.
Yeah. The funny part is, like, Strawther might be the safest option. Like, he might have the highest floor, I mean, Christian Braun has an incredibly high floor. He's,
An NBA champion, seventh man.
like seventh man on an
Already
NBA champion.
proven.
Strawther has a really, really high floor too.
Yeah.
If I'm a team that's not the Nuggets, I might take Strawther over both of them.
Really? Just because you need shooting so badly in today's NBA, and he has
Maybe.
that. I would not be surprised if Strawther ended up being the most valuable, just because here's the thing. I can envision him being a solid defender. When we talk about you need neutral or better defenders, I think he's projects to be a neutral defender. His offense is clearly good, but I don't think that he projects to be a guy that you get into a playoff series. I mean, he probably will be this year, maybe even next year, but that you get into a playoff series and it's like, all right, the plan is just to attack him every time and he's helpless out there. Like, he's not that. He's 6'7", he's got length, he knows what to do, he knows how to position. So if you're not targeted, then it's just a matter of, all right, well then can you play within the defensive scheme and system? And like, I just think he can. So for me, you give that part where I don't think he's going to be a liability on defense. And then you go, and on offense, man, shooting bends the court, and he projects to be more than that. Running around. Here's another thing I've liked about him. They've run him on some things where it's like he has to make tough angles where you run through the court, receive the handoff, and then have to turn into a shot. And it's like, it's not just the simple, okay, I ran 3 steps, grabbed it, and shot. I had to run through the court, twist my body in 180, and get a shot off. And he just knows how to do it. So for me, I would not at all be surprised, even if my pick for who I think would be the most impactful is probably Peyton Watson. He has the widest range of outcomes, but the growth I see from him right now, he feels to me a little bit like an AI.
Like artificial intelligence?
Yeah, where like you set it for like 25 games, and now you come back to it and you're like, oh my God, this thing's it's getting smarter.
Yeah.
Are we sure we're in control of it anymore? It's
The funny thing, too, I think really at the end of the day, what Peyton has over these other guys was just that he's bigger, he's longer, he's taller, and that I've become so... my perspective on the importance of size in the game coming out of the Golden State era and coming into this Denver Nuggets. Like, I mean, I've always said, you guys know this, small people disgust me. They disgust me.
You've always said that.
Yeah.
You have always said that. All right. I just am so excited about these three guys.
It's such a tough question.
It really is. It will
Man.
you know
Rocked
what's
wind to
funny,
his
though?
core.
Let me ask this. We haven't had this for a while. It wasn't since Juancho, Malik, and who else was in that? Oh, and Murray. That there was like a trio. And it was clear that Murray was the guy, but then you had Juancho and Beasley in that same draft, and they kind of felt like a trio, right?
Yeah,
they came in at the same time. Doesn't this feel like a trio? Even though they're 2 different years?
Definitely.
It kind of feels like these 3 guys are Project Dynasty.
I knew you'd love it eventually. I knew you'd love it.
And they feel like collectively they make a core of a bench. Like Denver is building now their bench core. They have their core, and now they're building a bench core that might one day graduate. But right now, and probably for this year and next, they're just trying to say, let's build 3 players to kind of come up together, and it makes sense. They fit together. They cover different areas.
They live together.
They
Seinfeld
live
style.
together.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of a cool little sub piece of this too.
It's
is.
actually awesome.
Yeah.
I like it, man. I look at him as a 3-headed monster, and I wonder if we need a nickname for the trio of them. Isn't there a 3-headed dog that welcomes you to hell? Isn't that, or does it welcome? Does he guard Hades? Cerebus?
Cerebus?
Isn't that what it is?
Cerberus?
What is his role? What does he do, Kale? Will you
I think
look
he's
it
like
up?
a guard dog.
Of Hades, right? Of like the
Yeah,
gates of
these
hell.
Hades
Cerberus.
homie.
In
Or the
Greek
rivers-
mythology, Cerberus, often referring to the Hound of Hades, is a multi-headed dog that guards the gates of the underworld.
How many heads?
3.
It's a pretty metal ass. It's very hockey of you, you know?
Yeah.
You could make a sick shirt
It's also
off
like
this.
Cerebus is not a thing that
Cerberus, I think.
Cerberus?
I don't know. So
How-
I should
give us the pronunciation.
Actually, I should just stay out of it.
Cerberus.
Can we get the-
Cerberus.
Can we get the
Cerberus.
country of origin?
It's Latin for
Greece.
Greek.
Thank you.
Cerberus. So this is I don't think that nickname would really. The Avs did have the 3-headed monster though. You remember that? That's like one of my favorite shirts, the 3-headed Yeti.
The four Norsemen is sick too.
The
I know
4
it's different,
Norsemen. They
but
have some
that's
good. I kind of like this idea of a 3-headed Project Dynasty monster. I kind of like it, man. These 3 guys are tied
Somebody
together.
does need to make the edit of them just in the, like in a friends photo.
For sure.
They're Joey, Chandler, and
Yeah.
Ross.
I mean, it's like a straight up basketball sitcom. They all live together right across from Ballerina.
great.
Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I also
They need to let Zeke move into one of the apartments there.
I also think it's just a cool story, man. Like tying the three of them together. And again, this has happened naturally, but tying the three of them together is kind of a cool story, man. Three ninjas.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's legitimately part of the sauce and to Denver's success here with the starters. AG is a little bit of a later addition, but these guys grew up together. They became professionals and then champions together. And to have the next core starting as rookies together is really fun.
Is it the little three? You got the big three and the little
I
three.
actually really like that.
It's kind of good, right?
I call them the Booth Boys personally.
The
but
Booth Boys, yeah. All right, whatever you want to call them, we'll workshop it. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, mailbag, including who's untouchable. They're all untouchable. All
God,
the
we're
Nuggets
gonna
are
have to
good.
answer that question again. The same one.
Well, you can expand it. Maybe there's a player you would trade. We'll see.
Guys, we're having a watch party here at the bar tomorrow for Broncos Lions. They playing on a Saturday. And Breckenridge Distillery is giving away 2 bottles of their bourbon, I think. You can win it if you're here at the bar. So come to the watch party tomorrow for the Broncos game. Breck Distillery giving away 2 bottles. And if you need Christmas presents, nobody's going to be mad at you if you gift them a bottle of Breck bourbon. So you can go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com. Their products are available in all 50 states. You can shop your local retailer or visit BreckenridgeDistillery.com for home delivery of award-winning Breckenridge spirits.
If you got some buddies in town and they want some burritos, you know exactly
What if they also want beer?
Don't fret, Adam.
What?
I've got a spot for you. Illegal Pizza is actually the go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer for over 28 years. And it's not just burritos or beer. How about their house margs, their party margs, their bowls, their taquitos, their queso. There's so much good stuff going on Illegal Pizza, including the vibe. This is not a get a burrito and bounce location. This is get a burrito with your buddies, find a spot, hang out, hit up the bar, soak in the vibes. Illegal Pizza, go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer over 28 years.
Alrighty, we are back. Let's take a quick look back on Jokmas past. Did you guys know the very first December 15th game of Jokic's career was pre-Jokmas? His rookie season, he actually played a game on December 15th.
Does that count?
It does not. This
Okay.
is before Jokmas. But the Nuggets did win 112-100. And
Coincidence?
Coincidence? I don't
think
know.
not.
And Yoke played 20 minutes at the time. That was a kind of a surprise. He was a plus 12 in that game. He did come off the bench though behind Joffrey Laverne. It's actually hilarious to think. Joffrey, by the way, also a rookie. Going through his first year. It's actually hilarious when you look back and think about the games Yoke didn't start and who was in
That
front of
foul
him.
line jumper must have been hitting.
For Joffrey?
Yeah.
No way. There's no way.
I know, but man, it's crazy too, because if you think about it, at the time, Yoke was also like, man, they're probably better than me. I'll just sit on the bench. It's fine.
So true. But yeah, that was also up against obviously Karl Anthony Towns. This was in the early battle days when we had to say he's better than Towns, and everyone's like, you guys are homers. The real Jokmas, the following year, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 of 6 shooting. What a modest line from Jokic.
I know, that's always the funniest part about looking back at Jokmas is that Jokic didn't actually put up monster numbers that game.
Right.
Yeah. But he was a plus 15, which at that time was a big deal. And, I distinctly remember that game. The following year, he played on Jokmas once again, this time against New Orleans. And what do you know? Once again, they get a win. 117-111 in overtime. He goes for 11 points, 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists, shoots 6 of 13. He was a -4 in this game, going up against Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. And by the way, I couldn't figure out why this was the case. Came off the bench that game too. Mason Plumlee, this was his 3rd season.
Wait, what?
I'm telling you.
What game is this?
This is in December 13th of
2017-18?
2017-18. He must have gotten hurt. Let
Was
me
he
look
like
up.
coming back from an injury?
He had
must
to have been. He
Yeah.
had to have been. Let me look it up here real
Don't
quick just
poke
to
a
be sure.
hole in our Jokmas narrative.
Correct. He was coming back from an injury. He had missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. That he came off the bench for 2 games before starting once again.
But even then, he was in the zone of not good enough to just be put right back into the starting lineup when you come back from
Well,
bench
you had
straight?
Mason Plumlee.
Come on.
I mean, listen, some people will tell you that if you've seen those two guys in training camp,
Yeah, they're the same player.
one of them
They're the
stands
same
out
player on the
yeah.
practice court.
it's hard to tell
Some
why
say.
one plays, you know?
The next year, no Jokmas. But there was a Jokmas in 2019 as the Nuggets took on the Knicks. And they once again got a win. 111 to 105. Yoke this time, the real Yoke, by 2019. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists.
What's up?
+4 in that game, and the Nuggets roll. It was a good one. Always a fun one. And then the last time they played on Jokmas was all the way back in 2021. It's been 2 years since we got a Jokmas
The
game.
NBA's scared of it.
And what do you guys know? The Nuggets lost. Yoke was a -17 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. 27 points.
Let me
10
guess, he got a haircut before that game, too.
Maybe 27 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 fouls, and a -17. Even though he shot 11 of 16. That's our last one. We're hanging on a loss.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right.
Doesn't feel right, does it? But that does mean the Nuggets were 4-1 on Jokmas. One was a pre-Jokmas, so we'll call it 3-1. You look up games before Jokmas last night. They are now 5-0. So between pre-Jokmas and Jokmas, the 2 days, they are, I believe, 9-1. It's pretty darn good, man.
It's pretty good.
You'll never convince me that it's not all direct response to the show. You'll never convince me.
You never will. All right, let's get to the mailbag here because we had some good ones. The first one comes from Logan. He asks, would you consider any player coming off the bench untouchable when it comes to trades? And if so, who? Now, here's what I'll say. Reggie Jackson has played well enough that I think you have to look at him as close to untouchable. If you were to trade Reggie Jackson, there is an argument you could make of, has he played himself into? Now you could trade this guy for something really good.
I'm
He's playing
clipping
great.
this with no context.
But here's the thing I'll say. Nobody wants Reggie Jackson that's going to take him to give you something that does what you need. Like Reggie does what Denver needs. So would a team trade you? Like, what are you trying to get? Young players? You know what I mean? So you're trying to get a backup point guard. Well, he's a backup point guard.
Right.
So who would trade you a backup point guard for a backup point guard? So I don't think so. Clearly the young guys, I don't think. And then Zeke Nnaji has a poison pill. So who are we trying to trade here?
Who are we trying to trade off the bench?
I'm just saying there's nobody that even makes logical sense at the moment. I mean, you would thought it would be Reggie.
Yeah.
I
mean, Zeke, obviously.
Poison pill.
I mean, but you can still trade him.
Not
though.
really. Very few teams that can take him on.
I know. But like, if somebody did, that would obviously be the one.
No.
You don't like to trade anybody else.
First of all, I don't think any of them are untouchable, but I'm not interested in seeing any of them traded. Having said that, and to be clear, I'm not in favor of this. I'm just going to try to make the argument. With everything we just said, going through the exercise of like who's most essential, you could argue you could try to move Julian Strawther to get a backup big because he doesn't fit as neatly into everything as the other two do in terms of need. I wouldn't want that. I would think
Wouldn't it suck at this moment?
It would
like if,
suck.
Like even if you made a move that we were all like, man, that's a nice move.
I wouldn't like it.
You'd still be
I
like, what
wouldn't
the
like it.
hell?
The thing is, like, what backup big would make that worth it?
It's a good point. And it's not just on paper. They also
What
have
backup big that's playing 10 minutes a game,
Right.
15 minutes a game would make that worth it at the most.
I agree with you.
It's just tough.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's got to be one.
Is
Kelly
there?
Olynyk.
Please.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Now we're talking. He's a starter now. Mitchell Robinson out for 8 weeks.
No, isn't he not even starting?
Oh, yeah, he's not. Who did they play? There's somebody else in front of him.
You're playing him max 10 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Backup center. Backup center.
Backup
is
center
not
is just
move it. I
like,
would not.
yeah, it's just something for us to talk about all year.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
That's exactly
Just a
it.
nice little topic for us to banter
Look,
about.
I will say this. Calvin Booth loves his guys, as every GM does. Very few GMs are like, I mean, Daryl Morey maybe is the one guy that doesn't love
Yeah,
anybody.
he's a sick
He's willing
man.
to trade anyone. But I think
He loves James Harden.
Calvin Booth, I don't think, like, it is one of the rookies, and I just don't think he would do it. And maybe they really are put in a position where it's like, man, that's a really good offer, a short window offer, but it only costs Strawther.
Like, what if the Raptors call up
Who they got?
OG Anunoby?
You got to match salary on him, though. That's impossible.
What if this is next year with Zeke's salary?
Okay, well then, you got to do that. I mean, you're talking about a starter caliber player, and like you got to do it.
If you could turn Christian and another one of these guys or whatever into Alex Caruso or something like that.
See, that's more in line with it,
Shout
although he
out
makes
to
a lot of money too.
He
But
does,
that's more in line where it's like, you hope your guys can maybe be cheaper and just as good in short order, but he's a proven, like, this guy's already good.
Would you trade Strawther for Caruso right now?
I mean, yeah. It doesn't work. It's not a legal trade, but Caruso's really good, man.
As
Caruso
far
to
as
me
this
is
title
like,
coming up, that's a no-brainer.
if you had that defensive core of AG, KCP, Caruso, Peyton, and Brown, like, that's the best. That's the best 5 defenders, you know. Like, I think in the NBA.
Yeah,
so I
that'd be
think you'd
crazy.
have to do it.
Having said that, I'm buying Booth Boys stock right now.
Having said that, I can't divert from Project Dynasty now.
Who
It's
are
a
we to
hatchet.
divert, man?
I'm in too deep.
Yeah.
To your point, it also does suck. Like, these trades sometimes, a la an RJ Hampton, you're like, feel silly where you're like, why did we ever never want to trade this guy or whatever?
Well, RJ Hampton was actually never good though.
He never was, and he never played.
Even
But
with the Nuggets, he wasn't.
But
never
I'm just
that
saying,
good.
when you have young players, you start to think about what their best case scenarios
totally, of
are or
course.
whatever. And then sometimes it's like, yeah, but you can win now. Rob Stannett asks, Nuggets have jumped around in the standings. What seed do they need to get for this year's title run? Actually, I thought the question, for some reason when I read this, was different. I thought he asked what it will be, which I think is maybe even a more interesting
Sure.
question. But
We
let's
can do
answer both.
Yeah.
What do you think they need, and what do you think they will get? Start this one.
Home court, I don't think they need the 1 seed. I think just top 4 seed is good. Top 3 seed.
Minnesota is going to be tough to wrangle it from.
The schedule, this is when it would
Yeah,
happen.
that's true.
There's some ground to make. Again, by the way, I don't want to just. These teams are not all at mercy to their schedules, and good teams are good teams. They transcend these things.
Yep.
And the Wolves are a very good team. So I'm not trying to write off what they've been up to. But as far as the difference between Denver and catching them, this is when it would be done, this little month and a half stretch here. So I honestly would be shocked. I'd be surprised if they finish with lower than the 3 seed. I think things are going to stabilize here, and I'm torn going in.
But let me ask you
Yeah,
this, because
yeah.
it's easy just to say 3 because it sounds safe. Besides Minnesota, who's going to challenge them?
Clippers have been playing good ball.
But they're so far down already, aren't
No,
they?
I think it's a good
I'm
point.
kidding.
I think it's a good point. I mean,
Kidding.
OKC could win a lot of regular season games.
Could they?
But
They're good. Could they? I'm being serious. Like, do they have 57 wins in them? Oklahoma City? Denver's never done it with Yoke.
Yeah, I mean they could. I don't. They could win a lot of games because I think they have a more balanced roster because they don't have the best player in the world that they've built around for 5 years. But I do think it's Denver and Minnesota and everyone else. So I'm not worried about
I'm not
this.
trying to be a dick about this.
No, it's a good
I'm being
question.
genuinely serious about. We're kind of looking at Oklahoma City and they're off to this hot start, but like winning 55 plus games is really hard. Denver would have done it a bunch if they would have done
agree.
it.
I agree.
So I think Denver has that in them now. I don't know if Oklahoma City does. So
Yeah.
that's why my answer would be I think they're going to be the 2 seed. I think Minnesota's young enough and deep enough and defends well enough that they're going to be like pushing for it, meaningful to
Yeah,
them, and
sure.
they're also just a good team. I think Denver is the 2 seed because I don't think Dallas or Sacramento or Oklahoma City has 55, 56 in them, and I think Denver does.
I think the Nuggets are going to be the 1. I think they'll
Ooh.
catch Minnesota by February, by the end of January. They'll catch Minnesota.
How important? It's tough because
The Nuggets play the Hornets twice in the next 9 games.
they went 16-4, so almost no one element of it looked essential in hindsight. But how important do you guys think being the 1 seed was in that playoff run for Denver in hindsight? Because going into
Very
it,
important.
I think we all thought it was.
Because they're so freaking dominant at home.
yeah.
And they just set the tone every series, except the finals when they lost a game at home. But they set the tone every single series by winning those first 2 home games. That was so important, I felt
Yeah.
like, just to establish themselves 2 games into a series, like, yeah, we're here. Like, you guys are not winning in Denver.
You want to know something funny, though? This year, I kind of hope it's different. I hope they do have to go on the road for at least 1 series, just because I think it would be fun to be in that role of like, all right, game 1. If you win this one, man, the pressure gets tight.
Last year was important. I agree. This
Yeah.
year, I don't think it's as important because now the Nuggets know how to win in the playoffs on the road.
And there's just something to winning on the road in game 1. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that there's no worse feeling than when your home team drops game 1
Yep.
and you're like, damn it, we just
Yep.
gave up home court. We're only 1 game into the series and we're
There's
down.
no more defeating feeling than that.
And I want Denver to be like Malone was referring to this, by the way, afterwards in his post game commentary. I went back and listened to it. Malone was referring to this like we want to be a team that goes into your building and takes, what
Right.
you have. And that is a different mentality of like, we have kind of checked the box of we protect home court every time. But now being the team that's like, I don't care where we play you. We'll play you in your building and come and kick your ass. Denver doesn't necessarily have that swagger to them yet. And they have the numbers bear it out. But I do hope Denver becomes that before long, where it's like, yeah, you know what we are? We're the team that will play on your turf.
Yeah.
We don't care. All right, let's take a quick break. Final break. On the other side, Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett. Not currently part of Project Dynasty, but could they?
Did you write this question?
No.
You didn't insert this into the mailbag?
I'm just saying, could they become a little storyline throughout the year? We'll find out.
When you get hurt, Bax and Shanker, they're here to help. They win for Colorado families. They've been helping those who are seriously injured in Colorado for more than 25 years. And you don't pay them any money until they win your case. No upfront fees. No fees while they work on your case. No fees unless they win your case. And they've won over $1 billion for their clients. Now we need some cups with neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Englewood, and Fort Collins. Bax and Shanker has the strength and power to win your case. More than 30 lawyers, more than 100 people on their staff. Bax and Shanker, they help with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accidents, motorcycle rides, to your pedestrian constructs. They can even help you if you're injured at work. Give them a call. 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Bax and Shanker wins.
What's that I see in the sky? Is that Superman? Is that a plane? What?
Oh, it's a Red Hawk.
It's a Red Hawk. No, it's Red Hawk Roofing, the best roofers in Denver. They've been in this game for a long time. They're experienced. They're good at this. And the best part is they're big DNVR supporters.
That means they're dope.
That means they're dope. That means if you get stuck in small talk with them, you won't mind. You can just talk about the bench. You can ask them which of Project Dynasty is most essential. Or you can just let them work on your roof if that's kind of what you're into. They'll do that as well. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com. Tell them DNVR sent you.
And we are...
I'm going to get some shot glasses.
Are you really taking a shot right now?
I'd like to sip on it.
You want to do a shot right now at Jokmas just to celebrate Jokmas? All right, literally. It says literally. Sorry, we'll keep doing the mailbag. From the Oso Blanco. He says things are going better for bench, but personally still haven't scratched my Hunter Tyson or Pickett itch. Any playing time ahead?
Probably not. Right? I mean, it seems like it's going to be tough with how well Reggie Jackson has played this year. That was really the most logical path for Jalen Pickett, for Reggie Jackson to really struggle, which seemed like a possibility after last year, but we've been wrong on that. Hunter Tyson, yeah, it's just tough to see.
I think they both will get another, for Hunter, a stint, and for Pickett, another stint similar to the Pickett one we've already seen, which is to say 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in a
yeah.
low leverage role where he plays like 6 to 11 minutes basically in those
Yeah.
stretch. I think Pickett will likely get, just because there's not a lot of point guards, so a Murray or a Reggie injury kind of elevates him to like at least up close.
Yeah.
And then I think Hunter Tyson will get at some point just some opportunity to come up and play. I think you kind of have to. And they might, if you build a lead, you might look for an opportunity to stick him out there.
I'd like that.
That being said, knock on wood, Denver has actually been kind of healthy this year. Jamal Murray is a big name, and he's been unhealthy. But outside of that, they haven't. If you remember last year, there were times when it was like there's only 10 active players or something because Denver is so depleted.
Sure.
That happens to every team. It sucks, but it's probably coming. And at that point, those guys will elevate. But Hunter Tyson, Pickett, like I just said, one of the point guards gets hurt, and maybe one other guard gets hurt, and then he moves into the rotation. With Hunter Tyson, if any of Denver's wings get hurt, Holiday gets bumped up in the rotation. Strawther plays more minutes. That's it. You almost need 2 or 3 injuries for Hunter to get moved
Right.
into position to play.
You really do.
That's
yeah.
why I think he'll only have 1 stint this year. It's probably going to be like 3 or 4 games where he plays basically what Pickett played already.
Yeah, I'd agree. But it would be nice to just get him 1, thank you, stint this year. You know? Like,
Hunter?
yeah. He deserves that.
Yeah. So I would like to see it as well. I just don't know if we're going to fully get to scratch that itch, but we'll find out. We'll kind of see. I will say this. I think that Pickett will probably be better in his next stint. I just think it's hard. Like, you think about Strawther. Strawther had a good game, I think, like his 4th game. But Strawther also went through a little lull. But fortunately, you know, it's like, hey, you stick with the guy, and now he's over the hump. I just think that happens with all players.
Yeah.
El Güero Ranchero asks, is Nnaji's contract tradable? If yes, what's stopping us from shipping him out? We already talked about this one. Let me say this. Here's my take. Nnaji, Zeke has been, I think, a little unfairly maligned. He has not been good. I don't think he's been so bad that people, like last night, I put out there, I was like, I'm surprised it's not a Nnaji night that they went to Zeke. And people are like, what are you talking about? You 0.0, you put him out there, team's going to lose. And I'm like, guys, I don't know that he's been so bad that it's like he's going to murder you if he's just playing. First of all,
do you not think Zeke would have looked good against that Nets front line?
That's what I think. Somebody put in my mentions.
Of course he would have looked just as good as DeAndre Jordan looked, or even better.
Jordan was the only player that finished a negative last night.
Right.
And I thought he was fine.
Yeah, I thought he was fine too. But he didn't do anything that I was like, thank God Zeke's not out there. He'll never get that. Zeke's been a little bit, he's been bad. Like, it's weird. This is like when I started defending Rudy Gobert because everybody was too mean to him. Like, I see what everybody says. He has not been good. He's been disappointing, whatever. But I do think that I think that the Nuggets would be wise to give him another chance. And I think that Malone's probably waiting for things to settle a little bit before giving it to him. So,
they need to give him another chance. Like, you can't just be done with him at backup center at this point in the year. That'd be stupid.
I was surprised that he didn't play last night.
I was a little
But
surprised.
he did hit a 3.
He was low-key
Did he
good.
not hit 2 threes?
I think he only hit one.
Or did I
He
just
only took
imagine
one,
that?
right?
He was low-key good in garbage time.
He
Not
hit
that
the
that's-
3. I mean, I think what Zeke needs to do is just move into the apartment building that Project Dynasty is living in right now.
Get in on the vibes.
If he could just get in on those vibes, it might turn a season around.
He's actually the same age. You think of him
Yeah,
because
but
he
it's just
came in
gonna-
younger.
Just like, guys, I got a piano. That's what I'm bringing to the table.
Is he going to be Newman, though? You know what I mean?
It's total. See, this is the thing that you're
he
kind
gonna-
of inadvertently getting at, is that there are always social dynamics at play in anything, and it's like,
Oh, I'm very much getting at that. Yeah.
I was wondering why Hunter wasn't part of the, like, where's he live? Is he out on a ranch?
Him and Pickett are in their own building.
Hunter lives in a car by choice.
He's living that van life.
Yeah,
I love it.
by choice.
Do you think Hunter Tyson has a dog?
Yes.
Here, you think
Yeah, he's got a
dog?
golden retriever for
Golden
sure.
retriever.
I would be
Yeah.
legitimately shocked if he does not have a golden retriever.
A golden retriever. I think maybe it's more like a Springer What do you call it? Springer Spaniel.
Dude, Hunter is a golden retriever.
yeah, he
Respectfully.
is. But a Springer Spaniel, that's more a pheasant dog. I feel like he needs more of a pheasant dog. You know.
Like
a pointer,
like a hunting dog.
short hair pointer. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, he's got a trained dog.
You're
His
right.
dogs serve a purpose.
He
Sleep
hit
outside.
Tyler Lydon up. He's like, when you were out here, where did you find your dogs?
And then the Nuggets were like, no, lose his number.
Yeah,
don't take any
don't.
advice from him.
To Jokmas. Chivali.
Givali, fellas.
Deeply.
Legitimately good Rocky this time.
No, this is actually some of the best Rocky
It
I've
actually
had.
is. You know what the truth is, guys? We've been taking this as a shot, not a good shot. It is a good sipper.
No, I only sip Rocky
It's
now.
to be sipped, for sure.
You sip it,
I
and
only
it's like
sip it.
it's strong and it warms your, like, I'm so warm right now in my soul. But it actually does have a good flavor. Which one is this one? Do you remember what it was? What pair?
Oh, it's the
or-
one D-Line brought, but I forget.
It's apricot. Oh yeah.
Dude, apricot, a new lane of Rocky. I'm trying.
What's your favorite of the rakia varieties?
This one, whatever, apricot.
This
now.
one actually is a really good one.
I think I
All
understand.
the Rakia truthers will probably say we're casuals for that take.
We did get to
but
tap into a finer raspberry, which I know is a little rare.
that one, yeah,
sometimes
that
more
one's like-
expensive. That's pretty good though.
That's like Fireball.
What's the Queen's fruit one?
The Quince.
Yeah, or whatever that's.
Queens.
Yeah, that stuff's really
A
good
fruit
too.
I've never
yeah.
heard of until I drink
I don't know anything.
liquor of it. BK19 says Jokmas is a sacred holiday. Any other place you'd like to see holiday created for? Is there any other dates that you feel are like, hey, this was a date? The 7, I wish I knew what date that was. You could almost like remember, I don't know if it's like a full-on holiday. So I don't know if that counts.
With Aaron, you could do the day he got here. It's
Yeah.
not this doesn't have the same weight, but it's a fun
By the
one
way,
to-
can I make an interesting AG observation?
Yeah.
He was on a podcast. I don't remember which one it was.
Knuckleheads.
It might have been Knuckleheads, or it might have been. I almost said Invisible Mike. Curious Mike.
Dude, Curious Mike, man.
Invisible
Dude, having
Mike.
Yoke on, by the way, coming up. Did you see that report?
This is the most anticipated podcast in a while in Denver sports.
This has to be Jokic's first English-speaking podcast appearance.
He
I
definitely
cannot
accidentally
wait for this
came on this
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, he didn't know it was recorded. He thought they were hanging out.
Absolutely hilarious that I mean, good move on Mike, man. Getting this podcast off the ground. Yoke, I can't wait to find out what this is about. That's what's up.
Yoke thought they were just like going to watch film.
Yeah. Mike's like, let's work on the two-man game.
But
Just kidding.
But AG had an interesting comment because he was asked about which players have most. I can't remember if it was influenced him or this or that, and he said Draymond, and I thought that was really interesting because
love that so much.
Me too, because Draymond famously in that series that they played was really giving him hell and was being an absolute bastard, like personal attacks as Draymond does. He tries to get under your skin. So for him to be like that was one of the more influential players, I kind of like that. It's like, also, he's tough, man.
You want to talk about guys who have figured out how to maximize offensive utility despite being a non-shooter. A guy you don't even guard. I mean, there's a lot to learn from Draymond.
For sure.
Two more quick ones here. November, Denmark says, have teams gotten better at guarding the Nuggets? In your guys' opinion.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. I think a little bit.
Have teams gotten better at guarding Jokic? How so?
Well, the strategy of just not guarding Aaron Gordon has really worked this year. I don't know if that qualifies as getting better at it. But I think the fact that this is just year 2 of this starting lineup instead of it being year 1,
Right.
it's just less new.
Yeah.
So you've just teams that played against it more. There's more film on it, just from that aspect, maybe.
But is there an escape velocity to? They also have the ability to get better themselves.
100,000%.
For sure. Yeah.
100%. I mean, part of it is about your chemistry and relationship transcending what's on paper and on film. The other team, when they got a lot of time to prepare, they can do their best to learn your tendencies, but they're on a calculation level there. And for the best teammates and the best chemistry, you're on an instinctual immediacy level. That's always one step ahead of calculation. It doesn't matter how much film they watch, right? It's like if you truly have mastered chemistry together, and Jokic and Murray in particular have, they're a step ahead of you, even if you're guessing right. And that's how you win in the playoffs, right? Because eventually, all the gimmicks and all that stuff, it's out the window. Teams know who you are. They know what you want to do. Can you still do it anyway? And I think what Denver has is not something that's necessarily drawn out in a tree of decisions on paper. It's more immediate and instinctive. And in that sense, it's almost impossible to fully shut off.
To give a graphic representation here, if I think that Denver is getting better currently, because Michael Porter, to me, he had a shot. I talked about this in All-NBA today with an NBA trainer, Mark Campbell. There are 2 plays, and I'll clip these and put them on Twitter because I thought they were so recognizable. A pass goes to Michael Porter, and he is wide open, a foot in the paint on the rotation guy, and for some reason he doesn't shoot it. He catches it in the corner, doesn't shoot it, and dribbles and does nothing. And then there was another play to Cam Johnson, skip to the corner. Mike Porter closes out. You remember this one where he's like, that's a great closeout. Cam shoots it and he drains it. And it's one of those things where it's like Cam knows what his shots are and what they aren't, so there's no hesitation, whereas Mike doesn't always read it.
Right.
Mike, to me, is the guy that I think honestly can get a lot better even this year. I know we've been saying this for a while, but I really do think that Mike has things he is trying to learn about the game that if he does, they go to another level. And then you add in Strawther, Christian, and Peyton, to me, all make good stagger players.
Yes.
Stagger.
Yeah.
So there is this line of Denver's growth from where they are now to where I think they can finish. That really is going like this. And then there's time, and then there's teams figuring Denver out. And at some point, I do think these lines cross. The question is, do they cross at this year's playoffs because they kind of need it to win a title? Or do they cross later? But to me, there is this escape velocity to where Denver can get to a point where it's like, yeah, but you're kind of out of adjustments now. Denver has a solve for everything.
That point about Michael Porter was great because when I had his trainer on the Denver Sports Podcast, he pretty much said that Mike is trying to expand his game and not just be just a shooter. That was one of their points of emphasis coming into the season. Mike attacking more and not just taking the 3 every time. That's by design. Like that's something he wants to do
but you got
more
to pick
this
those
year.
well because his number one thing is gravity, and the shot I'm talking about, it would have been considered on data tracking wide open corner
he was in
three,
that left
where
corner.
he shoots
Yeah.
50% from, and it's like there's actually nothing better you can do than
Yeah.
shoot that one.
Yeah. And just like trying to drive, trying to get to the line, the mid range. These are all purposely like we're seeing more of this on purpose. And I think part of it is just to like give him more options.
Yeah.
So he's not just locked into only shooting that three every time.
Yeah.
He's got options.
That
now.
one though, he needs to shoot every time. This is like, there's nothing better you can do than be wide open in the corner.
Yeah.
So if a guy's closing out at you, of course, there are times when you should pass it up, but the point is he can get better even at just being like, nope, that's my shot, I got to take it.
Yeah.
Last one before
So I knew we were going to get flamed for the rakia. We're already getting flamed for not drinking plum rakia in the comments. I knew it.
Guys, we've had like so much plum rakia.
Yeah,
It's
we've had
most
it's
of the
not like
rakia
we've never
we've
tasted
had.
it. Like, get out of here.
The walnut just tastes like Jägermeister.
Oh, the walnut.
That thick.
No, that walnut was great.
Oh, it was delicious, but it was thick.
Yeah, it was like
a
syrup.
syrupy.
Last one, real quick. We'll get out of here. Fonzie Scheme asks, "What's Malone's response? Was Malone's response to the last ejection good enough? Felt like a time to compare superstar treatment, not crack a joke."
It's hard because we don't know what this means, but him saying that he was in contact with the league, that matters more to me than like a pithy message sent on the mic. To be
Hey, it
honest.
worked. Jokic shot 12 free throws last night.
In only
Here's-
3 quarters.
Here's my take on it. Refs will listen to this stuff. There's an accumulation of it. You don't need this for a December game against Brooklyn. I do feel like there's a strategic season-long thing you need to do where it's like, all right, we're talking to the league. We're pointing it out. Maybe in January, then we make a little fuss here or there. Then you save your big bullets for like April. Going into the playoffs, it needs to be the like, this is ridiculous. Blah, blah, blah. Like, if he would have done it last game, now you have the Nets and Jokic gets 15 free throws. And it's like, well, that was wasted. They won by 30. It was the Nets. The game didn't even matter, really. So I do think that there's something to like start planting your seeds now so you have the big bullet at the right moment.
But I also think sometimes the big bullet can do more harm than good.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody talks about it. Yeah, it's a talking point. It goes through the news cycle. But what do you think the refs think about that?
Maybe
Like,
they're just pissed.
The refs are people. Like, we know this. They have biases. They have grudges, just like we all do. That's going to really rub the officiating community the wrong way. And, like, I'm serious. Like, they might go back against you in a game.
Yeah.
Like, if you publicly make a huge deal about it, like, I'd love to go back and see, like, did David Fizdale's take that for data rant actually work?
Right. Probably not. But they are funny.
It might have harmed them.
Yeah.
Whereas I think
Because now the refs are like, you're going to
Except
show
for
up.
some- you know
you're
what?
going to show us up like
you know
that?
what it is? This is the thing where we always
I'll
think what
show
the
you.
Lakers did. It's like, we should do that. It's like, yeah, but you're not the
But
Lakers.
you're not the Lakers.
The
Yeah,
Lakers
that
got
is
the
true.
like, we're having sleepless nights.
No, I
we're
mean,
so
the
ashamed
Lakers
of ourselves.
play by different rules than everybody, but
right.
and
But
everything.
Remember though, they did get all the calls right after that.
Yeah.
I do. Right,
And have never
you're right.
stopped.
Because I was going to say I am partial to the get in contact with the league method, but that helps a lot more when the league cowers at your feet.
Yep. So there you go. We just need to find a way to make them cower at our feet.
Yeah, 3 more championships. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. All right, everybody. Merry Jokmas to you. We're going to get out of here. Our holiday party is tonight. Tomorrow, though, our party bus is happening. Tomorrow's going to be an all-timer at the DNVR bar. If you haven't come out, going to be a great one. Broncos, Avs, Nuggets, party bus. Going to be a good time. You're not going to want to miss it. Come join. Hang out with the fellas. We'll see you.
We all silly like the mayor.